memo. Now, for the top story tonight, let's bring in Fox News analyst Charles Krauthammer, who joins us from Washington. I want to just ask you a number of random questions about this situation, and we're not going to speculate here. First of all, last night in my analysis, I had no beef with President Obama not mentioning the word terrorism, as some people did. They criticized him. And I said, no, he has to wait and see the evidence before he defines it in any way. We know it's terrorism now, and the president has said today it's terrorism. But I also said that he used the word tragedy in a wrong way, because it's much more than a tragedy. Do you agree with that?
I agree entirely. And Obama is not the first to use a tragedy in describing events like this. A bus accident is a tragedy. An attack on a bus is a crime, or it's an act of war. When FDR addressed the Congress after Pearl Harbor, he didn't say December 7th, a day that will live in tragedy. He said it's a day that would live in infamy. Tragedy implies, this has to do with agency and cause. I mean, an accident is a tragedy, and it has a cause that has to do with fate, serendipity, accident, luck. But when the agency is human evil, that's beyond a tragedy, and it's a crime. That's what we're dealing with here. And I agree. It's a little early to say. It was obviously an attack. To call it terrorism, you had to be sure.
That's right.
That the motive was a political one. Remember what happened in the Tucson shooting, where a member of Congress was shot by Jared Loughner. And the left jumped all over this, the mainstream media, and assumed it was a terror attack, and it was an attack by some person inspired by the right wing to attack a liberal congresswoman. And of course, that was completely wrong.
False and irresponsible, right? And they never apologized.
You have to establish that the motive is a political one.
All right, so I'm glad that
it probably is, but we're not sure yet.
I'm glad that you and I agree on those two aspects regarding President Obama. Now, here's where Charles and I disagree. I believe the U.S. intelligence has done a good job in protecting the nation, but you don't see it quite that way, correct?
Well, they've done a very good job in protecting us from post-9/11 terror attacks. In fact, I think one of the reasons there was such shock and dismay and yesterday as a result of this, this is the first time, I don't think people are aware of this is the first time there's been a successful bombing attack in the U.S. since 9/11. There have been a lot of terror attacks, about 10 or so, but they're all with guns. One was a guy driving a car into a crowd, deliberately. But what we had yesterday was a scene, an urban scene, people screaming, a lot of smoke, people being heard on the street. It had the resonance of 9/11. So in that sense, we've been very well protected. The place where our intelligence has really been awful is in understanding the big issues, like the nuclear weapon issue in Iraq, where we undershot, in North Korea, where we're now being told we completely undershot. We learned last week this sort of hair-raising news that the North Koreans might have the capacity to put a nuke on a rocket, which we had been assured for years was years away.
Okay.
So we have a history of undershooting.
I'll see
on what's
those
happening
two
abroad.
things, that in Iran and North Korea, our intelligence, as far as we know, I mean, you know, the secret stuff might be a lot better, has been a little shaky. But on the terrorism front, the drones have been very effective in really disabling the central terror core. And that all comes from U.S. intelligence, CIA, NSA. They pinpoint, they go, they're dead. And I think they've done a magnificent job. I thought Petraeus did a great job. I thought, what's his name, out in California now, Leon Panetta did a good job. I really admired. And the final thing is, I don't think we can ever stop terrorism 100%. You just can't do it. So I think we should cut everybody some slack on that.
No, I agree with you. I just make a difference between operationally, they've been incredibly good.
Right.
But in terms of assessment of the potential of our enemies, ever since the Russians exploded the bomb in '49, we've gotten it wrong every single time.
All right, Charles, thanks very much.